Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Hal Leonard Spring Webinar Series for 2024. My name is Aaron Stabell, and I'm here as a member of the Hal Leonard Education Team. So happy that you can join us tonight, this evening, this afternoon, wherever it is, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you so much for making some time for us today. We know at Hal Leonard how busy this time of year can be for teachers, working on concerts and finals and all kinds of other things this time of year. And so for you to stop all those things and make a space for us to be able to share some thoughts really means a lot to us. So really grateful that you are willing to be here, and hope that you're as excited as we are to learn about DJing in the classroom today. I have a couple things to kind of do for housekeeping at the beginning, and then we'll get right to the main presentation. We want to really take some time to thank Sheet Music Plus. Jill and the team over at Sheet Music Plus has graciously been willing to sponsor this session. And not only are they sponsoring the webinars this spring, but they're also, we're going to be able to give away some gift cards. So throughout the presentation, we're going to have 3 giveaways for Sheet Music Plus $100 gift card. Everybody who's attending today is also going to get a 10% off coupon in their email afterwards for Sheet Music Plus, 10% off. So everybody's going to at least walk away with that. And we also have a pretty awesome grand prize today, a set of Samson over-the-ear headphones, thanks to our friends at Samson. And whoever wins those, we'll be in touch to make sure we figure out the mailing address that you want those sent to and everything. But that is something that you could use if you have a DJ program going in your school. So I figured that would be a very appropriate giveaway. So before we get started, let's do our first giveaway right now. Let's see who wins the $100 Sheet Music Plus gift card. As long as you're entered, you should be eligible here. Let's see who it's going to be. It looks like Chad Harris. Chad, congratulations. You won a $100 Sheet Music Plus gift card. So we'll be in touch with the information about how you can use that very shortly. Another thing to think about, this webinar is going to be being recorded. So if you have colleagues, friends, anybody who you think would be excited about seeing this another time, you'll be getting the recording in your email pretty soon after things are wrapped up, as well as a certificate of participation. And you can use that however you can use that. I know it varies quite a bit from place to place, but hopefully that'll be useful to you as well. And if you have questions, this is kind of a unique circumstance. This is the first time we've ever done a video pre-recorded webinar, but our webinar guest is, as you'll learn pretty shortly here, he's in Spain right now, so was not able to do this presentation live, but you're still going to see me pre-haircut, so I look a little bit different, but you're still going to see a great conversation between DJ Hapa and I that we had last week. And if you have questions, you can certainly post those in the Q&A, or we'll have a little time at the end of the session where we can where I can answer those directly. But my pal Zach is working behind the scenes here to help with any questions that you might have. So feel free to fire him off into the Q&A as you see fit. And if you need anything from us at any time, absolutely send us an email. The email address you'll see later too, but it's hledu@halleonard.com. So any of those options are ways that you can get answers from us, and we're here to help you and make your teaching journey however as easy as we can in whatever way that might be. So we're going to do that any way we can. And I want to do one more giveaway because we have another gift card to give away, and then we'll do the big grand prize at the end. So here, let's see who can win our second gift card, and then we'll get started on the video, I promise. But giving things away is really fun, so I hope it's just as fun to win them. This is going to Morgan. Morgan, you are our second $100 Sheet Music Plus gift card winner. So again, we'll be in touch. Congratulations, Morgan. And we'll make sure that you get that information very soon so you can start shopping. Finally, I'm going to start this video. It's about 50 minutes long, so we should have a couple minutes at the end to come back, but I hope you enjoy this. DJ Hapa is great. He's really the star of the show here. You're going to love it. So without any further ado, I'm going to press play and we can watch, and I'll see you at the end. All right, enjoy, and thank you again for being here. Hapa, what's
Hey,
up, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. It's been a little while, right?
Nice to see you, man. Nice to see you. Good to be here.
Yeah, I think it might have been back in Chicago around Christmas last time we were hanging in person. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Mid.
Or maybe
No, and Nam too.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's true. We've seen a lot of each
All
other.
the
It's
all the
been
trade shows.
well, it's great to see you virtually. I know you're out on the West Coast and I'm here on the East Coast, but thanks so much for making some time to join us for this Hal Leonard webinar. And this is a little bit unusual that we're doing a pre-recording, but you're headed out of the country pretty soon, right?
I am headed to the land of dance music, or the center of dance music. Headed out to Ibiza, as they say it, but Ibiza, as some of us say it here in stateside. But yeah, headed out there for a big music conference and festival out there. So should be fun.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, it's still pretty cold here in New York, so I really would like to go with you, but maybe next time. Well, that's great, man. I think we're all excited to learn from you and to just get a sense. I would imagine a lot of the people on here are folks who are maybe they're kind of tech savvy, but looking for new stuff. And we also might be having some people watching that are brand new and willing to take a leap and see what they can do for their students. And I hope that we can sort of provide some information for both of those camps today. I think we will.
Yep.
And maybe just to start out, we had a great piece of pizza in Chicago a while back where you just kind of told me your whole story, just kind of how Hapa got to be and, maybe why anybody should listen to you about any of this stuff. Do you want to just run down kind of the story, like a condensed version of it? Because it's a
Yeah.
pretty fascinating tale.
Yeah, for sure. I guess maybe in working backwards, currently I sit at the intersection of the music world, more specifically the DJ world, education, and then technology. And sort of in that center is where I sit and have for quite a few years now. But started DJing in 1996. On vinyl turntables. I mean, technically, I started on cassette tapes and then got into vinyl after that. But it was a much different world in 1996 learning how to DJ. The equipment was much different. The computer didn't exist in our world. I, by the way, was one of the people that said, I will never DJ with a computer. And here I am doing some stuff, showing you guys some stuff off of like an iPad or a phone or a
Right.
Chromebook, today. So, I often say never. Never and always are two words that I try to be very selective about using. But, started DJing in 96. Really, things started to take off for me when I went to school at UCLA. I'm originally from San Francisco, moved down to LA to go to UCLA, studied sociology at UCLA, which, by the way, is a great major, a great area of study to be a DJ or a musician or anybody, really. I mean, there's so many transferable skills that you'll learn in a sociology class. But really, I think being at UCLA put me in community with other DJs, people that were better than me. I then got invited to be the 10th man or the 10th person in a 10-person crew. We had a couple of female DJs in our crew as well, and it was just so interesting because as people would graduate from school, like that would be the day they stopped DJing. It was so bizarre. It was almost like there wasn't really this career path that exists today. And because of that, I never expected for this to last much longer than post college.
Right.
And it's just been an incredible ride. So I've gotten a chance to travel the world as a DJ, have shared the stage with artists that I've looked up to for many years. I mean, guys like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Macy Gray, Diplo, Steve Aoki, Bruno Mars, Marshmello. I mean, Michael Jackson one night in L.A. I mean, it's just like
Whoa.
bizarre, like the way that this whole thing has happened. And
Right.
then I guess the final piece of this that I think is really important is the education part of it. So I used to run a record store with a couple of buddies from UCLA, and we wanted to do something for the community. We wanted to like make the space usable during other times, and we wanted to try to give back to the community. So, the idea popped up to let's start a DJ school. And then it was like, how the heck do you even start a DJ school? Like everything has been self-taught, and you learn from doing and making mistakes. And so that set me on this journey down this path of, well, what would that look like if we created curriculum for this? And how do we take what's in our heads and actually put it into something digestible where we can teach anybody how to DJ? And so I spent 15 years building a brand called Scratch DJ Academy. We had physical brick and mortar schools throughout like major metropolitan cities throughout the U.S. Left there in 2019 looking for a new adventure. Ended up becoming a professor at a college out here in Southern California, teaching DJing. We've built an audio arts program there, which is a 2-year degree program. That's been awesome. And then that's led me down this other path and, ended up writing a textbook on how to DJ with Hal Leonard, first 50 DJ techniques you should know. And then that turned into now a classroom method that we have called Start to DJ, where we're really trying to bring DJ education to the students. Like, we really believe that this is a really great instrument to learn and can be an on-ramp and can be a door opener for a lot of people. And I often say this is about teaching people how to DJ, but it's not about that. And for those educators that are on this call, Aaron, you know this, we've talked about this a lot. I mean, it's not about this. It's not about me showing you this particular technique. It's really about building character. It's about building confidence. It's about unlocking something in this student. And so we're really excited that this can be a vehicle to do that.
Yeah, and also we talk sometimes about, creating opportunities for folks that might not already be participating, and we can get to that in a second. But yeah. I'm curious, did you play any instrument or sing in a choir, like in the traditional music program when you were a kid?
I'm smiling because I could say that I can sing. I've sang on a couple of records. I've sang background on a couple of records, but I'm not a singer. My wife is a recording artist. She's a singer. Right. But I'm laughing because I feel a little convicted right now. I've said that at some point here, I want to explore voice lessons and exploring what that could look like. I mean, I use my voice every day, but just even being able to optimize my voice, even in terms of speaking, I think it would be helpful. But no, I actually ended up playing drums coming up, and then ended up in a marching band and played the drum line in a marching band. And so had that rhythm background. But for whatever reason, even from that, when I started DJing, I didn't take any of the things that I learned on the drums into DJing. Like, they were almost like two separate worlds. And I see people make that same mistake that I made oftentimes, where it's just like, well, this is music over here, and then this is DJing. And it's like, well, no, it's all music. And so we really make it a point to introduce, beats, bars and measures, phrases, like note theory, into what it is that we're doing. Now, they're not wrong. DJing is different than, these composition-based instruments. Most instruments are composition-based, whereas DJing is decomposition. And then I like to say almost like recomposition, or it's like creative problem solving. You're trying to figure out where these pieces intersect, how they may intersect, and how they may live together. And so that's what you're learning as a DJ. And you're also learning arrangement, which is why that often leads to producing your own music at some point in time, or getting into, making beats and whatnot, because the two go hand in hand.
Yeah, and that's a great call out, because a lot of times, I remember when I was a teacher, it was always a challenge to try to find ways to increase the music literacy of students, especially if they weren't already participating in an ensemble, right?
Yeah.
And so that's awesome to hear you say how that's an important part of what you're doing, to talk about measures and to talk about notes. And, it seems
Absolutely.
like maybe we would take that for granted, but that's, like you said, not always a part of it when folks are talking about stuff outside of schools. And I think that's really great. That's a connection I could use to talk to an administrator about why DJing is cool in a school, because there's still a lot of the same characteristics that we're looking for to help educate the young learner and the young musician. So that's beautiful. I love that.
And real quick, it's all about momentum. To me, I think it's really about, especially today, we as a whole have such a short attention span for things, right? Like, if something's not working, you're quick to sort of give up on it. And I'm not saying that that's right. Like, the old school part of me is like, no, like, you got to keep going, man. You got to work past that. But the reality is that we want more kids to be able to have music in their lives and to not just be a consumer of music and digesting it from, the consumer level, but to feel like they have a role in music and to feel like music has a role in their life as well. And so for them to be able to participate and be able to get their hands on, some form of an instrument, can be incredibly empowering. And obviously, there's all of the research that's been done around, how that's better for the child and how they actually, are able to do better in, core subjects because they've got music in their lives. And, to me, then a big part of what we're trying to do with Start to DJ is say, well, does it have to be this instrument? Like, can it be other instruments? I mean, music will trigger that and will build up this confidence. And so how do we create the path of least resistance? And I often say that this is not an or, right? Like, this isn't, do we teach kids to DJ or do we teach kids, how to play the guitar? It's like, there's not an or, it's an and. How do we teach kids about music and give them the best possible tools that are out there for them to be able to express themselves? So, I'm really excited to be able to have this platform and to be able to share what really has changed my own life,
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love the story. It's great. And I wish we had more time because I think we had more than one piece of pizza when I heard it, and it was they get into the details.
Deep dish, by the way, deep dish.
Yeah. That's right. So what you were just talking about reminds me a lot of the statistic that I think we bring up. Like, I feel like we talk about this almost every time we hang out, which is that NAM says 18% of students are active in their school music programs, and that leaves 82% of kids that we still could reach as educators, get involved. And so I know that you feel like this is something that will attract some of that other 82% to the music hallway in school, for example, right? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a lot of education that needs to be done around what DJing is and what DJing isn't. And, I'm excited to be able to help dispel any of those myths or any of those, misconceptions that are out there. I've heard everything, over the years.
Yeah, what are some of them?
I mean, one of the biggest ones is like, I don't want my kid to be, drugged out at a rave. And it's like,
right.
Okay, well, this doesn't necessarily mean that. I mean, DJs are everywhere now. And I mean, if you felt that same way about a guitar, I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, there's been plenty of, keyboard players that have, unfortunately been addicted to drugs. And, it doesn't necessarily, this doesn't equal now my kid is going to be at a rave, like strung out at a rave. Like, not at all. In fact, I was talking to an educator in one of these conferences, and she brought that concern up. And I was like, actually, if this kid learns how to use this, he or she will be on stage, not drugged out. I mean, but no, I mean, that's certainly one. Sometimes too, this instrument is sort of synonymous with two genres of music that are sort of more seen as like the popular genres of music that you see DJs in. So that would be hip hop and dance music, EDM, electronic dance music. So you'll see DJs in those forums. But, to think about this as a hip hop instrument or an EDM instrument, I think is really limiting the instrument. Like, this is essentially two media players that I'm able to do a whole bunch of effects with and whatnot. And I can play two things simultaneously, mix things together. So, this could be me taking a, I don't know, whatever, a Brooks and Dunn song on one track, and then taking a Bob Marley tune on the other and finding a way for these to intersect and live together. So it's definitely not that, this is only about hip hop or only about electronic dance music. Like, this really spans a lot wider than that. And then, ultimately, to me, one of the biggest things when it comes to, teaching people about what this is and what this isn't is the opportunities that exist with DJing now in terms of performance and showing your work. And I know that's a big part of this, right? We want to be able to teach kids a skill, and then we want to be able to see how they can take this and start to use this somewhere and show off what it is that they've learned. And with DJing, there's so many more opportunities to do that. I mean, I think, again, sort of people start to think, well, I'll hire a DJ when I want a dance party. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. Like a DJ would be
Right.
great for that.
Yeah.
But if you're just sort of having a, here's this hotel lobby and people are just kind of hanging out, like having a DJ there at that time would actually be pretty helpful to set a vibe, to set a mood. I mean, there's not many instances in which you wouldn't want to have a DJ, to be honest
Right.
with you. Like I'll go to now some of these shows, conferences and whatnot. I think every conference main hall should have a DJ to
Yeah.
play in between things, to be able to do all of that. Like you need somebody to be able to create a vibe. And so we even start to see this now with this huge uptick with DJs and sports, right? Like in-game DJs. I've had the opportunity to play in-game with a lot of teams locally here in the Los Angeles area, and have a lot of friends that are like, that's a big part of their income, is being the official DJ for the LA Clippers or for the Los Angeles Kings, and then becoming the entertainment director and DJing, leading to other industries, even like now being a producer of a podcast because you have this audio skill that now is transferable. So yeah, I could go on and on about what that is, but I guess maybe one final footnote I'd say is I'm an entrepreneur because I was a DJ, and DJing taught me and almost forced me into running my own business and learning some of these principles.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of times you hear people say that the best and top jobs that will exist in 25 years don't even exist right now.
Correct.
Right? And it's kind of like the same thing. Like if you can get these skills through whatever means it is, then that could lead to some really cool things. And, I think about the idea too that if you have some of these skills, that's awesome, but maybe this is a thing that is going to help kids have a reason to want to come to school. I think about a lot of my students, and in the past, for me, it was band, when I was teaching band, but it could be this DJ program, or it could be any of the other things that we implement, whether it's modern band, whether it's making beats on Soundtrap, any of those kind of things could be a reason why a kid keeps coming to school. And whether that's music curriculum or not, that's a huge important part of being an educator and, just providing some kind of outlet for these kids. So I think that's a great message.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, we've gotten a chance and we've had the privilege of seeing that work. We have a program that we ran early on in the Start to DJ lifespan here, where we ran a program at a continuation high school in Southern California, and that was what the administration wanted to do. They wanted to use DJing as a way to be able to get kids to come to school and get the credits that they need to be able to catch up and be able to graduate. And it was such a high point, man, to be able to we got invited to the graduation, and we had one of the kids who was in the DJ program who graduated that year, got his grades up, got his credits up, walked at graduation, and we played their beats at the graduation. I mean, awesome. I mean, that's what it's about.
Totally. I love it. So our webinar series here, we've got 6 of them here in this week, and it's all centered around creativity in different ways, or creating in different ways. And so, I think one of the first things that I thought of when we got you lined up here is one of my favorite DJ Hapa quotes, and there are many, but one of my very favorites is this idea of curation is creation, right? And I think when we first touched base on that, you were talking about like making playlists and things like that, but maybe this might be a good time for me to just let you kind of do your thing and explain, like, what is it? Like, what does this look like if we're in a classroom? If somebody wants to subscribe to the DJ curriculum, what kind of stuff are they getting? What does it actually look like in real life? Maybe you just go for a while on that.
For sure. I think just to talk real quick first about curation is creation. I think this is a really important thing that we need to reframe in 2024 and beyond with the introduction and the popularity of generative AI. I think there's a lot of people that, have different feelings about generative AI and where that sits, and is this person still being creative if they've put in a prompt into ChatGPT or whatnot to then populate something? Like, where is the Where's the creativity in that? And I would argue that the input and the output both matter, and who's managing the inputs and outputs matter. And that's very much a DJ thing as well, right? Like I could have an expensive piece of gear, but if I'm not managing the input and output properly, like we're not going to have a great party, or I'm not going to create a great vibe. So, a big part of what we do as DJs is taking recorded work that already exists a lot of times. And sometimes it's your own recorded work, but a lot of times it's somebody else's recorded work, right? So it's this Bruno Mars song and this Michael Jackson song. And I'm going to then play this Bruno Mars song and play this Michael Jackson song. But instead of just fading out of one and fading into the next, what if I could find a place where these two intersect and where this like really can come to life in that space? And so these are some of the tools that we have. And then on top of that, what if I started to take out some of these pieces, right? So what if I was able to isolate the vocal, or isolate the bass line, or isolate the drums, or do something with the frequencies, add effects on top of it, loop this section? That's all of what we're doing when it comes to this instrument. So I just kind of want to run you through maybe a quick little like overview of how some of this stuff works, because I know it can be really intimidating. This is certainly not a commercial in any which way, but I do want to just mention, because you asked about it, was like with Start to DJ, we have really tried to think about all of the different friction points that could pop up when trying to bring this into a school. Number one, what do we need to buy? What do we need to download? What
right,
apps do we
it's
need
probably
to have?
expensive, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, but what we've really tried to do is build solutions to meet students where they're at, and to meet teachers and students with where they're at. So a big part of this, we like to call this a facilitated learning model. For those of you who are of age and remember this, you might remember Bill Nye the Science Guy. This is like Bill Nye the Science Guy for DJing. And so you don't have to lead the classroom. Like, we're leading that on our side. So we have expert-led curriculum videos. Most of them feature me in them, and I'm leading that class through that. The teacher becomes a facilitator. And so the role of the teacher shifts from having to be the lecturer or the expert in the subject matter to now being able to almost take a seat alongside, shoulder to shoulder with your students, and be able to say, all right, let's go through this. Coach Hapa is going to lead us through this. Let's go. And we've really timed everything out to fit where you don't have to do any guesswork. So what we're featuring in all the video curriculum is exactly what you would have in front of you, essentially. And so we've utilized technology, iPad apps, Chromebook apps, PC and laptop and desktop apps as well. So we have different solutions depending on what the technology that you have. And that's usually the first question we ask is, what technology do you currently have? Are you a school that has access to a whole bunch of laptops? All right, well, then that would lead us down this path. Are you a school that has a whole bunch of iPads? And that leads us down this way, or Chromebooks or whatnot. So I often say it's the same meal, but it's like choosing a different protein. It's the same delicious bowl, but you're now choosing steak or chicken, whatever you've got. All right, so here we go. Or tofu.
Vegan sausage, right?
Vegan sausage, exactly. So real quick, I just want to run you through, like, this is hardware that's in front of me, and then I'm running an app on my iPad. The iPad is actually where all of the magic is happening. This controller is just controlling what's happening. So the controller really is an optional piece. It's a great little optional piece because to be able to touch buttons and twist knobs and all of that, like, feels really good. But you can do all of those things on the actual iPad screen. So let me show you what I'm talking about, though. So here is, maybe I'll start with the iPad. So here's the iPad. You'll see I've got 2 decks here. The easiest way.
App is this? Can I interrupt?
This is the DJ app. So this is the Algorithm DJ app, DJAY. Within our program, we actually are able to unlock our campus coaches' devices and all their student devices as well with the pro version of the app, which is awesome. We work with the app developer to be able to do that. We also provide all of the music that is needed, so we send out music packs as well that have been pre-screened, that are appropriate for schools, appropriate for kids, and that's the other thing, right? Is because we need the music. So we don't just want to unlock streaming because that will create a mess inside the classroom. So here I've got 2 tracks that are loaded up. You'll see if you sort of just kind of run your hand down the very center line here, you essentially it's a mirror. So the left side and the right side are duplicated over. So you see, a bunch of buttons and knobs. And in fact, even if we do this, now we see even more knobs and buttons. It looks a little intimidating, right? And I mean,
Right.
the same is true of the actual controller itself. So you see on this controller, if I run my hand down the middle, same thing. This will be the left deck. This is the right deck. And I've got the same controls on the left deck as I've got on the right deck. So once you do that, that kind of eliminates half of your problems already. Because now you're like, oh, well, I only need to know what half of it does. Because if I know what this half does, then I know what that half does as well. You'll also notice that in these student workbooks that we actually have this layout as well. So even if you didn't have access to the controller, you're seeing the exact same controller in a 2-page spread. You'll even see some of the questions that we're asking where it's like, circle the following on the left deck. Where is the play button? I think the play button is here on the left deck. Where is the tempo fader? This is the tempo fader on the left deck. Where's the beat sync button? The beat sync button's up here. And where's the channel fader? The channel fader's here. Now find those on the right deck, right? And you'll notice that they're in the same position. So channel fader is right here. Play button is right here. Beat sync button's here. And tempo fader's here. Now, when I look at the actual controller itself, it's the same. Tempo, channel fader, tempo, beat sync, play buttons, right? So we really want to take the intimidation out of this. And then when I look at this on this side, all right, well, where's the channel fader? Well, the channel fader for the left side is right here. Channel fader for the right side is right here. Right? Play button, you can see that glowing. We've got a sync button that's up there. Instead of it saying beat sync, it says sync near the top. And then what was the other thing? A tempo fader. And then the tempo fader is up here. Now, it's positioned a little bit differently, but it does the same thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit play here. I can fade out and fade in. I can slow it down or speed it up or slow it down. And you'll notice it's changing the BPM as well, right? So we're teaching about tempo and understanding rhythm and timing and tempo. And as this is changing, if I were to sync the other track to it, right, so we have the ability to, I mean, even right there, I mean, that wasn't a great mix, but like that was just an example of like how you could just get up and running and get going, like really quickly.
It did that for you. You didn't have, all you had to do was press sync and it synced them.
Yeah, I hit sync and it beat sync the two tracks together, which is a huge thing that I struggled with when I first learned to DJ. And I used to teach students, that you need to learn how to manually beat match first. And what I realized is that actually deterred a lot of people. And it had them focusing on the wrong things. So while learning how to manually beat match is great, and it is a great skill to have, I often refer to beat sync as training wheels, right? So this allows us to be able to get up and running, for you to be able to hear things come together quicker and to not sound as bad quicker, right? Like that really is the goal, because once somebody sees like, wow, that wasn't so bad, like that was actually pretty good, now they want to keep going. Now it's like, well, what else is there? How can I learn more? And then at some point, yes, like introducing manual beat matching is great, but putting that big barrier up front doesn't make sense these days, and there's
that's
a lot of
beautiful.
companies.
That's beautiful for older students, especially because I think about it, to go back to like our traditional ensembles, for example. If you wanted to join the high school orchestra but you'd never played, that's kind of a pretty steep uphill climb. But
Correct.
You're in 10th grade and you've never done anything with music before. It sounds like you're telling me that you could get something pretty decent pretty quickly with this.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that is, we often talk about this as like hockey stick growth, right? I mean, like literally, like the way that somebody can grow using this instrument is so much faster, exponentially faster, than learning a more traditional instrument. And again, going back to that, it's an and, not an or. That's not then meant to say that, oh, everybody should be DJing versus playing instruments. In fact, what we've actually found, I mean, is there are quite a few people that get into DJing, don't have a musical background, prior musical background, learn how to DJ, maybe learn how to start making beats, and then are just like, man, like I'd really like to play the bass line on that, or like I'd really like to get into some of this other more traditional instruments. And
Yeah.
once they do, they're doing that with a much a much wider foundation because they've had this experience of DJing first.
Yeah.
So usually it gives them more motivation, I think, to be able to pick up, piano, drums, guitar, bass, or an
Yeah.
orchestral instrument. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we also there's a not the same study, but I've seen some other ones where folks are concerned that maybe this will be so attractive that they'll lose kids out of their
Yeah.
traditional ensembles, and the first clarinet player will want to go to DJ instead. And the studies that I've read have said that's not what's happening, right? That
Right.
like a kid who's having a great experience in band is probably going to still want to continue to have a great experience in band, and either will add the DJ stuff to their plate, or we're going to see kids who aren't already spending time in the music area come in. The study I'm thinking of it's a couple of years old now, but the conclusion was that they had to hire 2 new teachers because they couldn't keep up with the volume of requests for the this was for modern band, but I think the DJ
Yeah.
stuff would be the same. And so I think that sort of can dispel the fear that you're going to lose some of your top musicians. I don't think that's what will happen.
Yeah, I mean, they are different skills too that you're using, and when you say to somebody who, let's say, is in that first chair, and you give them now this opportunity to say, hey, like if you pick up this as well, I mean, you're actually giving them more skills that they can then have, and they can explore those as career paths as well. I mean, when we think about this, it's like, man, this person could be playing in the Philharmonic, on these days, and then DJing the after party.
Right.
Like, why not? Like that, you can do both or all of the above. I mean, that's like saying to somebody, hey, I only want you to learn math and just be good at math. And nope, I don't want you to learn in English because I'm afraid that you might not be so great at math if you
Don't
learn
try
English.
reading.
Yeah, don't try to read. No,
Right.
like that. No, just stick to the numbers, And I think actually I think we will do a much better job of mentoring our youth if we can give them, more experiences like this and prepare them for these jobs, like you said, that don't exist yet. And the more diverse their the more diverse they are in terms of their proficiency, like I think they'll be better off down the road.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, and Hapa, that's just hearing you talk about that. That's why I know we love you at Hal Leonard, because we know that music teachers, particularly if they're teaching an ensemble or they're in a position where they see the students for more than 1 year at a time, those folks are doing so much more than just teaching content. They really are caring, almost every case I can think of, care so much about that student as a person and as a human, and what happens to them outside of school and what happens to them after school's over.
Right.
And I think that's exactly why we are such a good match, because I can tell you're thinking about it that way too, how to mentor the youth. I think that's such a great statement.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is about. I think for all the educators that are tuning into this, they probably didn't get into teaching because the paycheck was just incredible.
Right.
I mean, teachers are some of the hardest working people, I think, on this planet. And, I mean, it's a bit cliche to say that, but it's true. I mean, there's so much work, especially these days, that teachers are taking on, which is why, another part of this, with this program, when we were designing this program, this was really about, let's not try to teach teachers how to teach DJing so that then we put something else on their plate. It's like, no, like, how do we allow them to connect with these students and connect with more students in a way that doesn't overload them with what they are currently balancing, right? So the facilitated learning model really helps do that, where, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm the one who's teaching all this stuff, but when I go into a classroom, I use our videos in the classroom. Like I take the position of the campus coach and I take the position of a facilitator and we run all of my videos and there's two of me and kids get a kick out of that because they're like, there's two of you, you know, and but like, yeah, but I'm not going to come in and reteach all this stuff, even though I can. Like it's just it's too heavy of a lift to do that, and at the same time, it actually takes my focus away from where my focus should be, which is making sure that these kids are having a really great experience. Like I'm so worried about delivering the information that I don't get a chance to really get hands-on with all of the kids, you know, because I'm preparing this example or doing this over here or trying to troubleshoot the gear over here, you know, and I think that that's a huge part of what makes Start to DJ a really great, you know, fit to go into schools as well, is to like really minimize that.
That's great, man. We've talked a lot about it. Can you do the thing a little bit and just show us? Like I love when you do like you can take out the drums and put can you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I'm gonna use. Let's see. I'm gonna use. Maybe I'll pull up a song here that people know.
And while you're getting things set up, I'll just take a minute to say, the non-recorded / live version of me is going to be hanging out after this is over with. So if you have questions, you can pop those into the Q&A already right now, and we'll try our best to answer those as we go. But also, if you have questions at the end, we can talk a little bit about it. And if the Start to DJ curriculum is something that you're interested in, or you have questions about, you know, anything like pricing or how that all works, the email address to send a note to is hledu@halleonard.com. And that'll go directly to me and to our education team, and we'll be able to help you, you know, if you actually want to talk about how we could get this set up for you, for your school. Or if you have any other questions or want to reach out about anything else, that's a great way to reach us on the education team, hledu@halleonard.com. So, Hapa, did I stall long enough for you?
No, we're good. So I just wanted to show this, that you can sort of see how things are being controlled. So this is the crossfader, allows me to play two things at once when I'm in the middle, right? So if I'm all the way over here on the left side, we're just hearing this. And if I'm all the way on this side, we're just hearing this one. So the crossfader allows us to be able to do this and be able to go between the tracks. But what I want to show you is, like, as I'm playing this song that like everybody should probably know, this Blinding Lights song, I want to show you some pretty cool things. I've got some points that are here where I can jump back to them. So these are called hot cues, and what I'm doing is I've basically set them up. They're like bookmarks also. So I'm learning the arrangement of the song. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get in and out of each track. And so by doing that, I'm using these bookmarks essentially to help me do that, but I can also jump to them in that way. I showed you the tempo of how it can slow down and speed up, but I want to show you something else that's really cool here. So what I can also do is I can isolate a certain part of the song. So pretty amazing. I can also do the opposite with my one little finger.
What?
It has this stem separation technology in it, which allows us to be able to isolate different parts of the song happening real time. So this isn't something that's a special MP3 or a special file or anything like that. This is happening live real time. This is a huge innovation and advancement in not just DJing, but in music in general, because now this allows us to isolate different parts. You could even use DJ software to be able to do this in a band setting. So let's say you had let's say you had a great bass player that wanted to substitute the bass line with something else, right? So you can mute the bass line and then just let that bass player go and play another bass line on top of what you're already playing, you know? So it really can allow, or the opposite, right? Like if you just wanted to isolate the bass line so that bass players could practice that bass line, you could do that as well. So there's some really cool ways that, there's some really cool technology that exists in here. But let me just show you also, just to kind of continue with this thought. we've now made a beat under this.
Are those like presets, like pre-programmed?
Yeah, these are presets.
So you're like thinking about form too as you do this, right? Like you're kind of building like an arrangement. Like you said.
Yeah, and I can record this.
Oh.
I could also set a loop. Go back to this.
And the harmony's still changing though, because that's from the other track. Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's pretty slick.
And I can change this whole tempo now. I mean, because everything is synced, right? So I can also then.
Whoa.
This might be a hit right here. You saw it here first. You heard it here first.
Should be at Coachella, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so much power in this, and keep in mind, I want to reiterate this because I know I was switching between different screens and whatnot, and you were watching me do some things off of this controller and some things maybe on this iPad. Everything I did could be done on the iPad itself. Like, it does not require me to have this other piece of gear. Now, this does provide some other really cool, options of being able to hit buttons and twist knobs and this tactile feel. But everything that you can do from a feature set can be done inside of the app.
So when you call it a controller, you're literally just like when you turn a knob that corresponds to something in the software.
Correct. Like if I move this switch here, that's there, right? Like everything that I'm hitting, like even this right here is jumping to this particular point.
Yeah.
Right. So at the same time, I can do that using something inside the software as well. So if I switch over to just this one, I can switch to be able to see those hot cues as well. So if I do that, let's go ahead and as this track is playing, I can go and switch to my hot cues. Right. So that's all just off of the laptop. I mean, off of the off the iPad. And yeah, for those that are on laptops as well, there's great software that we use by a company called Serato. So Serato makes a free version of their software as well called Serato DJ Lite, and then there's Serato DJ Pro. And we've got great educational pricing for Serato DJ Pro as well. But everything that we've built is for Lite, So and that's a free software because a big thing that we want to do too, and I think this is really worth reiterating here, is that we want kids to be able to then take this home with them. Like instead of being like, oh, I need to have this controller. It's like, well, no, I mean, especially when you start to get into middle school and high school, I mean, most of these kids have access to devices already, so why not allow them to then be able to take their work with them and work on this, while they're on the train or whatever they're doing and then be able to come back into the classroom, when they meet up next and be able to take what they're doing to the next level.
Yeah, so if I was the teacher and I had a couple of the controllers at school, they could still be working on their works at home on their own device and then just come in. Yeah, I mean that's just like what happened when I would have a euphonium player that had to take one home and keep one at school. That's perfect. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I think the fact that this is software based and device, and it can be done on a device at home. I mean, I think that just allows for so much more accessibility. And I think that that's a big part of this too. Is inclusion, equity. This is really important.
A lot of equity questions.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And that stuff, so, I think probably the skeptic watching would say, like, well, of course you could do that so quickly because you're DJ Hapa, so, you obviously know what to do. Yeah. But it didn't look like what you were doing was, like, so complicated.
No, not at all. I mean, when we go to trade shows and whatnot, we'll have people do similar to what I just did live. Right. Like, we'll bring up a teacher who has no experience with this whatsoever, and they will either mix two songs together, they'll isolate how I just did, they'll make a beat. I mean, all this stuff, like, it's really designed to be able to get up and moving quicker. Now, back to that whole curation is creation side of it. If I gave you the same tools, you would create something differently based off of that. Now, You'll notice, like, when I pulled up this right here, let me go back to this Pro one. When I pulled up this with all the different sounds, I have so many different options, but the thing is, this is all, do you see in the bottom corner that says Deep Soulful House? So this is the Deep Soulful House pack. So all of these clips have already been pre-arranged to some degree where they'll all fit together. So it's really hard to mess this up. I mean, you could literally... And you're just switching different clips. And again, this is curation, right? Because I'm choosing, am I choosing kick 1 or am I choosing kick 6? Okay, which one is better? But you're not having to learn how to play kick 1 and kick 6, And down the road, the hope would be that, should you be inspired by that? And you're like, you know what? Like, I want to play the drums to this, like I want kick 7 or kick 8. Like, let me make that,
Yeah. That's so cool. I love it. And I just think about the potential for this. If you had folks who are really excited about it, you could make your own song in Soundtrap, for example, right? Yep. And then now you can mix and DJ with your own song, or Modern Band, or people learning stuff on using Ultimate Guitar, which is this great product made by our partners at Muse. Yep. Using any of those products could then funnel that into the DJ, because all you have to do is import your own MP3s, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then you could actually even reverse engineer your own MP3s. So you as a band could record the song, and then you bring the song into the DJ app, and then you can isolate the stems.
Right.
Without the multi-track, and then remix the band. I mean... Yeah, there's so much fun stuff that you can do with it, which is why I think it's really important that we're having these conversations, because I think sometimes people don't understand the real potential of this type of an instrument. I mean, this really plays a pretty incredible role. I mean, not to oversell this thing here in front of me, but it sort of is giving people access to the internet to some degree. You're like, hey, here's all these tools. You can do all these different things with it. And there are ways to then be able to enhance the things that you're already doing by utilizing these tools. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I know we got to kind of get going here. Yeah. You got a flight to catch probably, and I've got probably another webinar coming up here. Actually, this might be the last of the evening. I forgot where I put this stuff on it. But regardless, thank you so much for your time. And like I said, I'll spend a little time with some Q&As if folks have things that they want to know about. Hapa, is there a good way to get in touch with you if people want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a huge focus of ours. And so I will say this to a lot of our Hal Leonard family, and some people feel like I'm just saying this, but I really truly mean it. We understand the importance of this period of time in trying to launch this program and really being able to reach these students and reach other educators and find the kids and pull that 82% out, right? So I've really dedicated a lot of my bandwidth to this program and Start to DJ. So please don't be shy about reaching out. Hapa, H-A-P-A, at thedjcoach.com. I'm pretty good about emails and responding to emails. It's one of my goals is to get to 0 inbox every day, which I've been able to achieve that for the last 6 months, which has been pretty impressive. Yeah, but please reach out. We'd be happy to be able to answer any questions that you may have. Obviously, Aaron and the team, they're great at being able to help out as well. But if there's anything that you just want to reach out or you want to have a conversation about some of this stuff, more than happy to help. One last thing I'll say, Aaron, too, is another thing that I'd love for people to think about as well, just to get the gears spinning. We ran a fantastic program this past year at a 100% neurodivergent school down in South LA. So these were all kids that were on the spectrum or had behavioral issues, and these are people that some people have given up on. and the program was incredible. I mean, these kids learned at
Wow.
even a faster pace than our non-neurodivergent communities did. And I mean, I just, this will be etched into my memory probably forever. But one of the kids was then performing on stage because we did this whole culmination like event, and they were performing in front of the entire student body and staff and just everything. There was press there, and this kid is up there, and I'm standing next to somebody on the staff, and he kind of like, does one of these things to me. And he's like, "Hey, that kid, I've never seen that kid smile until today, and I've been here for 8 years with this kid."
My God. Amazing.
So I just want to put that out there, that like when we really talk about equity and inclusion, I mean, this is something that, we really want to make sure to reach all sorts of communities when it comes to this. So, it's not just about the kids that are in band and orchestra, and it's not just about the kids that seem like this is interesting to them. Like, sometimes people don't even know, like, this is still intimidating. So sometimes, like, it does take a moment for somebody to be like, "Oh, okay, here, try this out." Like, "Oh, wow, now I really like this." So really want to encourage people to get folks hands on, because you never know what that'll unlock. Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Well, thank you so much for your time.
My
I'm
pleasure.
sure that you'll hear from some folks that have questions, and I'm happy to help anybody too. So hang out if you have Q&A time. I'll hang out after this. But Hapa, thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
time. Enjoy your time in Spain, and hopefully we can catch up when you get back. All right.
Will do. Sounds good. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it,
All
man.
right. Thank you. Have a good one. I'm guessing that some people have some Q&A stuff. I think you can hear better now, right? Please unmute. Oh, no, I'm good. Okay. If you have questions, you can absolutely put them in the Q&A. Thanks to the folks who told me I was muted. But I'm guessing some people hung around so that they could get this giveaway to happen. So this is the final grand prize of the evening. The winner of this giveaway is going to get a pair of really beautiful Samson over-ear headphones, plus $100 Sheet Music Plus gift card, plus a free copy of the book that he talked about that he wrote for Hal Leonard called 50 First DJ Techniques. All three of those things are going to go to so suspenseful. Jenny, you are the winner of the grand prize bundle of the evening. Congratulations. So we will be in touch about how to get that for you. There's a great question. Is this a curriculum that can be purchased? This absolutely is a curriculum that can be purchased. Yep. There are, just to give you a little overview, there are 3 levels. Each level of the curriculum, we presume, takes something like a quarter of the year, 8 to 10 weeks or something, if you're seeing the class about once a week. And if you're interested in that, please shoot me an email at hledu@halleonard.com, and we can talk more about what that looks like for your school. Sometimes people ask, what else do you need? And, as Hapa mentioned, you can do this on any device pretty much. The other thing that sometimes people want to get is the DJ controller. The Pioneer Flex 4 DJ controller is the one that we recommend, and we have those available for you as well. Our MI team has actually done a really amazing job at preparing a whole bunch of options, everything from the books, the curriculum, the controller, also things that you might need like speakers or mixers or headphones. And even I'm pretty sure that we can get you set up with some really cool lights and fog machines if that's something that you're interested in making happen at your school, because that's, what makes a party more fun than a fog machine. So you can check that out. And there's another question here. Do we know if Serato has the capability of isolating stems? Yeah, that's actually what he was using when he was doing using the Flex 4. So I didn't understand that at first, but the thing that he's using on his table there is just controlling the computer. So if you're working in Serato, that's what's isolating the stems. If you're working in a different app, they basically all kind of work the same way. They're just a different, like you mentioned, just a different flavor, but it can isolate the stems. And I'll tell you, the technology is really incredible. You can, we throw all kinds of interesting things at it. I had Clifford Brown playing Cherokee. I thought there's no way it'll separate out these jazz stems because, maybe a little more complicated or the way it was recorded. Nope, no problem. It heard them and filtered them out. And it's a great skill, a great tool for, maybe you want your drummer to play along to that track. It doesn't have to be something that you use exclusively for DJing, but that software can take the drum track out. You have your drummer play along with it, and it's got you set up with a -1 recording that used to be something that was really hard to get. I remember as a kid jiggling the wire out of the speaker so that it would only play the left channel, and that's how I practiced. But we've come a long way. Oh yeah, fog machine could trigger fire alarms. That is true. Maybe an outdoor event could go with fog machine. We'll have to see. But that's only an optional add-on. That's not a requirement. So I don't want to keep anybody past the time. That's something we want to try to be very respectful of. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll say one more time, hledu@halleonard.com. If you have any questions, we're going to follow up with an email with the recording later. You can also, I'm sure we'll put that address in there too, so you can shoot that over to us. And that's going to go right to me and to our education team. So you can feel like you're talking to a person that you've met before. And if there's anything that we can do to help you with this or really anything else Hal Leonard related, that's what we're here for, to help and to make your job a little bit easier. So please let us know if there's anything like that we can do. And otherwise, I hope y'all have a great evening. We have 3 more fantastic webinars coming up on Thursday at the same time, 4, 5, and 6 Eastern. There's a webinar about improving your social media game for your music program. There's a webinar with Roger Emerson and Mac Huff where we're going to hang out and just share some stories. And there's a webinar talking about how to keep your upper elementary students engaged, even as they get a little bit too cool for elementary school. So if any of those sound interesting to you or to any of your colleagues, please feel free to share. All they have to do is register, and the recording will be sent over whether or not you're in attendance live. So if you have any other ideas for webinars that you'd like to see in the future, please reach out and let us know about those too, because we want to make sure that we put on a great webinar for you as often as we can. A great question about FERPA compliant. Absolutely. That's something that we're very much aware of, and we'll help you navigate through those steps as well, because that's obviously very important too. Great. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great evening. I'm going to say good night for now. And if there's anything you need, you know how to find us. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.